Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host for this morning. And thank you so much for joining us, Patty Cakes, on YouTube. She says, Grand Rising to you as well. And thank you so much for reposting the stream. Thank you, everybody who's joining us this morning. And if you've been joining us this morning, in the mornings, I should say, since Monday, what I've been doing is I've been trying to be consistent, which is something that our pastor shared with us at church. Be consistent and do good. And so, my part of doing good is I wanted to share a prayer with you guys that he shared with us, right? And what he did was he took different scriptures on how to honor God with your body. His short term is for, us to my bod for God. Yeah, he has a lot of them. I should say he's a lot of isms, which is really cool. It is really awesome. But I've been praying this with you guys and for myself as well, privately, but also as an audience, because, we do need to honor God with our body, because if we do that, then that will actually help other people around us, right? And it just has that nice, wonderful ripple effect. So we're going to get into it. So, how to honor God with your body. So, God, we're just praying that you work on our mind to guard our thoughts. God, help me fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So, I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. And God, help me with my ears. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, help me with my eyes. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, help me with my mouth. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, help me with my hands. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in faith. God, help me with my reproductive organs. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, help me with my feet. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. Amen. So I hope everybody really got something out of that this morning, because it is really good to start the day off with prayer. And now that I know that, my grandma, she watches, and little people watch as well. And I'm so grateful that, little people are watching and seeing, like, hey, anything's possible. All you need is a few tools and the internet. And here we go. And Jay Smooth says, good morning, beautiful Black Americans. Thank you so much for that. So today is Mighty Men Thursday. Got a theme for each day. So today is open mic. So if I have any mighty men out there that would like to join me today, either on the stage live or even just your voice, because you can join both ways. It's almost like a radio show. It's kind of cool. Just let me know, and I will send you a live link to this show where you can join here, and just let us know your thoughts on the different topics that I'm covering today, or there may be a topic that you would want to cover and share with the rest of us that we might not be aware of. So, with that, we're going to get into it, y'all. So, of course, I'm not always browsing the internet, I'm constantly browsing the internet, right, to come up with content. And I came across this interesting video of Gavin Newsom, because I think everybody on the planet knows by now that he is intending on running for president in 2028. And there's just a lot going on with the campaign. Some days he's Trump light, other days he's just hasn't found the footing of who he is. But with that, with a lot of the things, especially going on in California, people are like, okay, you want to run the country and your state looks like this? I don't know. People are kind of standoffish for it, but you still have individuals that are blue no matter who, right? They don't really care. Um, if he's the best person or not. They just want somebody that's a Democrat in office. And it's very interesting how tribal we can be. And Only Facts and Truth, thank you so much for reposting the stream. And Dr. C says, greetings, founder. Greetings to you, Dr. C. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News. So let's get into it.
Why should parents not know if their kids are transitioning at school?
It's a hell of a thing. You're talking about 1% of the population. Climate change that's impacted 100% of the population wasn't even brought up, and we're talking about trans issues.
Okay, first of all, the question really, it wasn't so much about the trans issue. It was about the fact that you're doing this behind the backs of the parents. You're not involving the people who actually birthed these individuals. That's the bigger question. And you completely diverted it to climate change. Like, this is how much he cares. I want you guys to listen to the rest of this.
Here in California, this is an issue for you.
It's a big issue for parents. This is a front and center issue.
Why should parents not know?
It's the great, this is one of the greatest distractions, and it's classic. 1% of the population in the United States. These kids just want to live. These kids just want to live. And we're having a debate about trans issues at the Reagan Library. It's be ashamed.
Yeah, but that's his attitude. That is his attitude on the trans issues. And I'm like, wow. Okay, so do you care or do you not care? Because I really don't hear the concern. You are not concerned, because what these reporters were trying to get you to see is like, hey, parental rights are being stripped away. These individuals have parents. The government is not their parent. Their parents are their parents. And the government in California is taking away the rights of the parents to parent. But you don't care about that. You're more concerned about climate change. And then you want to call it a distraction? Sir, this is a major concern. We have people who are confused about who they are, and we need to care for them. But the parents need to have the ability to do that, but you're blocking them out. But then you want to blame the parent at the same time. Like, it's concerning. It's concerning. And so I wanted to bring this up to you. So, he did say that they do make up 1% of the population, and they do. But within that 1%, okay, so if we're just taking that 1%, because I think we're like at over 300 million. So you're probably looking at like what, 300,000 people? Less than 500,000 people. We'll just say that, less than 500,000, which is still it's still a lot of people. You're not just talking about like 10 people. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, right? And so I pulled up this graph that I found, and Elon Musk, his reaction to this was wow. And this is from the rabbit hole, but it says, as of 2022, nearly 20% of Gen Z is LGBT. 20%? Now that's within the 1%. Okay, so I need us to keep that in perspective. So Gen Z is anybody who was born from 1997 to 2004. Okay, the millennials are 1981 to 1996. So I've got a millennial, my oldest daughter, and then I've got 2 Gen Zers, my 2 youngest. Okay, and I can speak to this personally. Yeah, I do have one of these individuals. Yeah. And unfortunately, I know for a few of them, they just want community, right? And I get it. They want community. But unfortunately, the community has become a religion and a cult, because there are people within this community harming themselves and encouraging harm. I mean, it is what it is. You may not want to talk about it, but you have to talk about this. And we need to be there for these individuals. Like I had on my show earlier this week, Dr. Nikki and Gabs talking about, the unfortunate incident that happened last week. We need to care for them because even if yeah, they're making it 1%, but like I said, within that 1%, 7.2% of adults identify as LGBT. So these are people who are not going to have children. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. We'll say half of them, right? And the other 3.5% just decide not to have children. That's still a big figure within our population. And I want you to look at this graph from 2014 to 2020. It increased. It didn't decrease, it increased. Now, the traditionalists increased, the baby boomers increased. It looks like Generation X, it looks like it went down just a hair. Millennials increased, but the Gen Zers outpacing. It's a mindset. And like we were talking before on the show, it is a cult. And we have to be very careful about those who have socially transitioned. And a lot of it's the propaganda. But you can see the governor of California, he's not even concerned. There's no concern from him whatsoever. He's more concerned about climate change, something that they really scientifically have not been able to prove or disprove. I'll just say that. But here's the deal. If you're putting chemicals in the air and in the water, yeah, it's going to change some things. Now, the EPA was put in place to monitor, but they do not have any enforcement power. So they could find it, but they can't do anything about it. They could tell the FDA, but the FDA would have to trigger something. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's all these agencies in place to protect us, but they do not have any enforcement power to say, okay, as a company, we have to shut you down because you're killing us. Plain and simple, short and sweet. No, they don't have that ability, but they do have the ability to be lobbied to make these companies look good so they can continue to put these poisons in the air and in the water. And then they want to turn around and blame it on climate change. Yeah, that's the game, y'all. That's the play. That's the play. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to hear about it or not, that's the gut punch. That is the gut punch. And it makes me so grateful to have individuals like RFK that are trying his best of us. Now, I found a video. I don't know if any of you guys have heard about this or not. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But he was in Texas with Greg Abbott, I want to say last week. And he was asked a question by reporters. You know how reporters can be. Interesting, right? This particular reporter, he started off with a question and they said, we'll get back to you. And so this part of the, I should say, goodness, press conference. There we go. This part of the press conference, they came back to his question to address him and to answer his question. So let's see what Mr. Kennedy has to say.
Secretary Kennedy, that's Karen Collins, CBS News. Thanks for being with us today. My question is, in speaking of rural Texas, we know places like Uvalde have experienced one of the worst mass shootings in history. The CDC has previously been responsible for studying gun violence. A lot of those programs have been cut now. Would you still consider gun violence a public health crisis? And who's going to be...
I certainly consider mass shootings a health crisis, and we are doing for the first time real studies to find out what the etiology of that is. And we're looking for the first time at psychiatric drugs. You know, these kind of mass shooting, people have had guns in this country forever. I was a kid, we had shooting clubs at our school. People, kids, my classmates, other people, would bring a .22 rifle with their guns to school and park it in the parking lot. Nobody was shooting. So there's never been a time in America, in the history of humanity, and people walked into a crowd, into a church or a movie theater or a school or a crowd of strangers and just started randomly shooting. It's happening in our country. It's not happening around the world. And there are many other countries that have comparable levels of guns that we have in this country. We had comparable levels in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and people weren't doing that. Something changed, and it dramatically changed human behavior. And one of the culprits we need to examine is whether the fact that we are the most over-medicated nation in the world, and that a lot of those are psychiatric drugs that have black box warnings on them that warn of suicidal and homicidal ideation. So we are doing those studies right now for the first time, and we will have an answer.
Last question.
Hold a second. He opened with that. He gets to go back to it.
Thank you.
Okay, so this was the reporter that he said he was going to get back to, and as you see, this is the question that's very interesting.
Was in light of the recent resignations of the CDC, how are you ensuring that that agency is able to do its job effectively?
I would say this, that first of all, I will confirm that we let go Susan Menares yesterday. I'm not going to talk about personnel issues, but the CDC is an agency that is very troubled for a very long time, and anybody who lived through the COVID pandemic and saw all of these bizarre recommendations that were not science-based, all the misinformation, understands that the CDC has on its website today that among the top 10 medical innovations, greatest medical accomplishments in history was abortion. This is one of the greatest medical accomplishments because it keeps small families. Go to the website and look at it. Fluoridation, giving kids a toxin, and vaccines. So there's a lot of trouble at CDC, and it's going to require getting rid of some people over the long term in order for us to change the institutional culture and bring back pride and self-esteem and make that agency the stellar agency that it's always been. I'm very confident in the political staff that we have down there now that they're going to be able to accomplish that and ensure the competent functionality of that agency.
That's it. That's all we more questions.
Yeah. As you can hear, he said the competence of the agency, like that's what they're trying to get back to. Competence. Did you ever think in our lifetime we would ever see anybody having to address that when that should be the standard, right? These people are literally fighting to not be fired. You heard what he said. They said their greatest accomplishment was abortion. What? What? That's your greatest accomplishment in medical history? That's your greatest accomplishment. I want that to sit and rest in you for a minute. That's your greatest. Slowing down the population and growth, that's your greatest accomplishment? What kind of mindset is that? Wow. But that's how much they think of us. We're nothing but useless eaters to them. I'm telling you, there are people that have that mindset. And for that to be on their website, like you said, it's wow. Okay. All right. But that's where we are. And he's fighting for us. And a lot of these, and I know a lot of times people are like, why are they so mean to him? Because see, he's an attorney, you guys. And before he was hired as the Secretary of Human Health Services, he was fighting Monsanto and he won. See, he won against the GMO giant. They don't like him. because they know he's going to rip down everything that they've propped up artificially, right? To depopulate the planet with poison. And I'm going to call it what it is. It's poison. A lot of these dyes and chemicals. And I mean, you pick up a box of crackers and it will have everything in there but wheat, right? Which should be like the flour. I mean, crackers should be the easiest thing on the planet to make, right? Some flour and salt and water and, maybe baking powder. But you've got, like I said, words you can't even pronounce, maybe 5 or 6 of them, because those are chemicals in our food that the FDA has approved and the CDC has backed up. But in what, 5, 10 years time, somebody might get cancer, right? And it won't kill them, but they'll have to go to a treatment, not a cure, a treatment to siphon money off of this person before they die. That is their business model. It's disgusting, but it is what it is. And Kennedy is there to tear that whole thing down. And they are like, no, he's tearing down our gravy train. I'm so glad. And I want these people to be vocal. I want them out on the street. I want them protesting because we need all of their names. We need to see all of their faces. And when we see them in interviews anywhere, we need to know, okay, you hate humanity. And when I'm using the word hate here, I'm using the hate in the definition, which is to love less. You hate humanity. You can't stand humanity. Like, what is wrong with you? You're a human being. Like, what? When did this transition happen? But that's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. And Bala, thank you so much for joining us here this morning and reposting the stream. So he talked a little bit about vaccinations, and I came across another video, which was really surprising, and an article talking about how in Florida they want to end all childhood vaccination requirements. I'm like, what is going on in Florida? But I like it. I like it. I'm telling you, I like it. So let's check it out.
What I'm most excited about is an announcement that we're going to make, that we're making now, which is that the Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the governor, is going to be working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida law. All of them. All of them. All of them. Every last one of them. Yeah. Every last one of them. All of them. Every last one of them. Every last one of them is wrong and drips with disdain and slavery. Okay? Who am I as a government or anyone else, or who am I as a man standing here now to tell you what you should put in your body? Who am I to tell you what your child should put in your body? I don't have that right. Your body is a gift from God. What you put into your body, is because of your relationship with your body and your God. I don't have that right. Government does not have that right. They want you to believe they have that right. And unfortunately, they've been successful. They've been successful.
Wow. So, I know people sometimes will give DeSantis and Florida a hard time, but look, I can't argue with that. That's awesome that he finally said it. And he included the word slavery. What? Interesting. I know y'all heard that, right? And he was using slavery in probably the context of, right? We are not slaves to our government. We're free. We are free people. And we should have the freedom to choose what we do with our body, right? That's it's that part. It is that part. I actually had found a video on, ooh, I wanna bring it up. Look, I gotta bring this up. Just to give a little bit more context before I go to the article that I wanna read for you guys. Usually, I have all my videos set up, but you gotta check this out.
Notion
Let's
that
see.
rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the creator. That's what the Iranian government believes. So
Okay, you just heard what he said. That's what the Iranians believe. I'll play it again for you.
the notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. So the statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling.
So Senator Kaine said in this hearing that he found it a radical and dangerous notion that you would say our rights came from God and not from government. I just walked into the hearing as he was saying that, and I almost fell out of my chair. Because that radical and dangerous notion, in his words, is literally the founding principle upon which the United States of America was created. And if you do not believe me, and you made reference to this, Mr. Barnes, then you can believe perhaps the most prominent Virginian to ever serve, Thomas Jefferson, who wrote in the Declaration of Independence, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator, not by government, not by the Democratic National Committee, but by God."
Yeah. So they're having these conversations, and I find it very fascinating that they've become very, not philosophical, but they all come back to God. We are spiritual beings, whether you like it or not. Now, we do not live under a theocracy, thank goodness, right? We do not live under a theocracy. But this country was founded on godly principles. People are not perfect, trust. We are all dysfunctional. We are not by any means perfect. But we have a standard. That standard's inalienable by God. We are free. Now the equality part we can't argue with, right? We can argue that all day long. You do not treat you don't treat everybody equal, but we are all equal. I hope everybody can follow me on that. And I think that we need to get to the treatment being treating everybody equal. And we'll get there. And we'll get there. I think I want to say we're up 45%, because there are still people that look at other people as less than, as it's okay to trample upon them. I should say that. With that, I want to check out the article going back to the head of the Surgeon General, right? Florida, the gentleman that you heard speaking. It says Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and State Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo announced Wednesday that Florida will cancel all childhood vaccine mandates, making it the first U.S. state to do so. So a lot of people think, what are you talking about? Well, we all grew up and there was a mandate that all children had to be vaccinated, all children, whatever. But the schedule, I think the schedule is like 72 vaccines, where when we were probably growing up, it was like maybe 10. And even then, people could still choose to opt out, right? They had the religious exemption, or they could just flat out opt out. But then they started mandating something. Now, a mandate isn't a law, and that's the other part that we have to see. Mandates are not laws. They're a strong ask. But that strong ask was turned into policy, right? And then those policies have been tyranny upon the people. I'm just going to say it like it is because that's what's happened. There have been parents who've had to constantly fight with their local and state governments to say, I don't want that poison in my kid's body. But the state's still trying to force themselves upon people. Yeah. So the details in a press conference, Ladapo likened the mandates to slavery and said, who am I to tell you what your child should put in your body? And I think it's kind of like that whole sentence, but I know what he's saying, right? I don't have that right. Your body is a gift from God. Officials did not give a timeline for the cancellation. In Florida, students are currently required to be vaccinated against multiple illnesses, including the measles, chickenpox, hepatitis B, and polio. Several health groups and Florida Senate Democrats have condemned the move, citing concerns about scientific integrity. Well, the one thing they're not looking at is all of the chemicals that they've put in these vaccines. Now, there are some vaccines that are actually clean and helpful, but what about the polio vaccine when you're actually giving people a version of polio? And then people end up disfigured because they got the vaccine. See, we're not talking about that. You're not talking about the injury that these things cause. And I'm calling them things because they are not of nature. They're man-made. And anything man-made may not work in our bodies. Wow, shocker. Shocker. We're not machines, we're human beings. And you need to leave us alone. You need to leave humanity alone. Just saying. There are people that I do know personally who were never vaccinated, ever, growing up, fine. Then they later in life decided to get vaccinated. They got really sick and they were like, ooh, what happened to me? Yeah. You weren't missing anything. I was vaccinated growing up. And some of the issues that I have now, I'm like, yeah, I have sensitivities that I probably wouldn't have had I not been vaccinated, right? And, it's been 10 years. I don't get anything. I'm like, "Dude, you better stop talking to me. Yes, I am over 50. I'm not getting anything injected in my body. You can kick rocks and go on somewhere with all of that." Yeah. My doctors, nurses, they already know. They see me coming. They're like, oh, that lady. My poor doctor, I'm like, bro, the answer is no. Forever. I mean, you can ask if you feel like it. I don't care. It's still gonna be no. Because I'm not gonna put poison in my body. Especially when I know it could lead to other things to put me in treatment, which you will never have a cure for because money's not in the cure, it's in the treatment. And we need to remember that. And King Copper Tremaine, thank you for reposting the stream. Now, for context, all 50 states and Washington, D.C. have laws requiring certain vaccines for students to attend schools. Many states align their recommendations with the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. 29 states and D.C. allow vaccine exemptions for religious purposes, and 14 allow exemptions for either religious or personal reasons. In July, the CDC found a drop in overall kindergarten vaccine coverage to roughly 92% during the 2024-25 school year, lower than the desired 95% average. Okay. It also showed an increase in child vaccine exemptions across the country. Yeah, because we already know your biggest, highlight on your website, CDC, is abortion. It's your greatest accomplishment. So why wouldn't we think that you would actually create anything or back anything that would help anybody. When the highlight of y'all's career was killing people. Really? And we're supposed to trust you? This is why Kennedy is getting rid of all of them. This is why. This is why you see the firings. And like I said, these people walking out when we're going to leave too. Good riddance. Bye. No one will miss you. Trust me. I don't miss you. I want you gone. And if we need to sign a whole big petition to say, okay, we're with Kennedy, all of you leave. Oh, and don't have any burn bags on your way out, by the way, because I want a full audit, a full forensic audit. I want to know all the emails. I want to know everything that y'all were talking about, because I'm sure, evil does what it does. And they usually like to talk about the evil that they're doing. Just is what it is. So this is how the media covered it. CBS, that leans left, emphasized criticism from Democrat leaders and healthcare professionals. It highlighted past vaccine success and quoted Dr. Philip Hong, director of the Dallas County Health and Human Services Department in Texas, who called the plan insane and stupid. Now, Fox News right included DeSantis emphasizing informed consent in vaccination decisions. It quoted Fox News senior medical analyst Dr. Mark Seigel, who said some illnesses spread despite immunization, and that creating a community of immunity around highly contagious illnesses through vaccines is responsible public health. And it is. And see, what they're not telling you is a lot of these people that came over here illegally, they weren't required to be vaccinated to send their children to school. Oh, let me say that again. They weren't required to get any vaccinations, including the COVID-19 vaccination. So you just want to vaccinate the American citizens, but these individuals that have come over here illegally, they're criminals, by the way, and I will continue to say that, they don't have to get vaccinated. Yeah, that's on the HHS website. That was done under Biden. Yeah. Because it included nurses, but they also slipped in everybody that came over here undocumented. That's what they're calling them. That's what our government did. That's what our government thinks of us. I'm telling you. That the American people, we are ready, I should say, for a brand new day. What about you guys? I'm ready for a brand new day. I think we're going to like it. But with that, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get into some more interesting conversations, I should say, on this Mighty Men Thursday. And remember, it's open mic. So if anybody would like, Mike, please direct message me on X. Please. I'm not that good, right? It's just me, right? I don't have anybody monitoring my inbox from anywhere else. You can send me a comment in the comment section. Hopefully I'll see it. Or like I said, you can direct message me on X if you would like to be a part of the live show. So again, thank you for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News, and we will see you on the other side.
The browsers of today are broken. They've been overtaken by a barrage of sneaky and annoying ads, trackers that follow your habits, and cookies that build profiles, and all sorts of other internet clutter that's taking precedence over the content that you want to see. In fact, these useless bites can take up to a whopping 50% of page load times, with a third of it anxiously trying to learn more about you. To make matters worse, some ad blockers are even letting ads through when large advertisers pay them. But do you really want a leaky ad blocker? It's because of these very reasons that we developed Brave, a new browser that kicks internet crud to the curb and makes it faster, safer, and better to surf the web than your current browser. With Brave, everything you need is built right in. We integrated technology that automatically blocks trackers, annoying ads, and shields everything that can cramp your style and destruct your privacy. With it, you can expect increased speeds nearly 2 times faster on laptops and up to 4 times faster on mobile. And unlike any other browser, Brave allows you to support your favorite publishers with automatic micropayments, so it's a win-win for you and your favorite sites. To top it all off, Brave is open source, because we truly believe it's our web and we need to fix it together. So ask yourself this question: do you want a web browser made for the internet of today? If so, try Brave. It's faster, safer, and ad-free.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. And my name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. And so the next thing I wanted to get into is I had a question for AI. And you guys know I like to talk to different LLMs, as they're called or referred to. And I went to Grok, and I was like, I got a question. I said, can you tell me where humans stand with AI? Meaning the plan that the government has for mankind. Because I was like, I just really want to know, because as you can see what we just went through, you got senators talking about, yeah, I guess, these people, they think their rights come from God, and then governments put the rights in place. I'm like, you need to calm down, sir. Yeah, you need to calm down. But then you've got other places saying, it's okay. You can just inject whatever you need to in your body. I'm not telling you that some of these vaccines cause horrible, lifelong diseases. Now, if somebody told you, hey, you could possibly get this or this or this if you take this injection, you would have more informed consent, right? But they don't give you the information. They give you a fact sheet. And they still don't tell you what could actually happen to you after you take this. They say, oh, you could get a fever, or you might. No, they don't tell you what the actual insert says, which, to me, in my opinion, a lot of people should be sued greatly for denying people their right to informed consent. But that's why I went back to this question, and I wanted to know, like, what's really going on, right? So the question of where humans stand with AI in the context of government plans is complex, as it involves multiple dimensions: technological, economic, ethical, and geopolitical. Right. Since you've asked about the plan that government has for mankind in relation to AI, I'll focus on the U.S. government's stated policies and strategies, particularly drawing from recent developments like the 2025 AI Action Plan, while also considering broader global trends and critically examining the implications. I'll aim to be concise yet comprehensive, addressing both the explicit goals and the underlying dynamics that affect humanity's relationship with AI. So the U.S. government's AI strategy and its implications for mankind. The U.S. government approach to AI outlined in the Trump administration's Winning the AI Race, America's AI Action Plan, released on July 23rd, 2025, centers on establishing U.S. dominance in AI to promote economic competitiveness, national security, and human flourishing. The plan, driven by Executive Order 14179, January 23rd, 2025, is structured around 3 pillars: accelerating innovation, building AI infrastructure, and leading in international diplomacy and security. Okay, so that's the plan, right? And it sounds good. So accelerating innovation, deregulation, right? Plan emphasizes removing regulatory barriers to AI development. And we all know that Trump's a businessman, so he's all about like let's get things done without too much red tape, right? Open source advocacy, workforce development, implications for mankind. By prioritizing deregulation and open source models, the U.S. seeks to accelerate AI adoption, potentially potentially democratizing access to AI tools. Democratizing, access to AI tools. However, this could lead to uneven global impacts, as rapid deployment without robust guardrails may exacerbate risk life like misinformation, job displacement, and unethical AI applications. The focus on workforce upskilling suggests an intent to integrate humans into an AI-driven economy, but success depends on equitable access to training, which remains uncertain. Okay, fair. A Black Empowered, thanks for joining us here on the stream and reposting. So building AI infrastructure, I'm just trying to get through these fast. International diplomacy and security. Okay. So critical examination of the broader impact on humanity. The U.S. AI Action Plan reflects a shift from the Biden administration's safety first approach to a deregulated, innovation driven strategy, which it aims to benefit American workers and maintain global leadership. Several tensions and gaps have implications for mankind: bias and truth seeking, global disparities, ethical oversights, economic and social transformation. So, global context, other government plans. While the U.S. focuses on dominance, other nations have their own AI strategies with implications for humanity. So, we'll just take so the United Kingdom, they have AI Opportunities Action Plan, which they started in January 25, emphasizes on economic growth and public service improvements through AI adoption, aiming to position Britain as a leader in responsible AI. Now, China and others, China's AI strategy, though less detailed in the provided sources, focuses on state-driven development and military applications, raising concerns about surveillance and authoritarian uses. The EU and India are also developing sovereign AI frameworks to retain control over AI systems, reflecting a global trend toward national self-determination. So where humans stand, right, where we stand, opportunities and risk. For a human perspective, AI under current government plans offer transformative potential, but also significant risk. Here are the opportunities. AI could enhance healthcare, education, and public services. The U.S. plans focus on workforce development, and open source AI could empower individuals and small businesses, fostering innovation. But here are the risks. Without strong ethical frameworks, AI could exacerbate inequality, erode privacy, or amplify misinformation. The U.S.'s deregulatory approach may accelerate these risks, while its focus on national security could prioritize military applications or societal benefits. Globally, divergent AI policies may create a fragmented landscape, complicating efforts to address universal changes like climate change or pandemics. Now, that's interesting. Now, this is Grok, okay? And it's bringing in the climate change and the pandemics. Now, we all know the pandemic that we all went through. Stop that. There was a 99% recovery rate. No one actually needed that particular inoculation that was given. I think there could have been a better route, right? I think there could have been something done better because of all of the people that were actually injured behind it. I mean, in the 70s, they had 25 people that were injured and they pulled it. 25. There have been millions of people damaged by this. They still haven't pulled it. they're still promoting it. And there's the difference. And that, to me, that's a risk, right? When they're talking about climate change and pandemics, because that's what we're going back to. It's very interesting to see AIs. Now, this is an AI. I'm just saying, this is an AI response. So in conclusion, the U.S. government's plan for AI, as articulated in the 2025 AI Action Plan, positions AI as a tool for economic growth, national security, global leadership, with a focus on deregulation, infrastructure, and workforce development. For mankind, this promises innovation and prosperity, but risks unchecked development, global geopolitical tensions, and ethical oversights. Other nations like the UK emphasize cooperative and responsible AI, highlighting a contrast in priorities. Humans stand at a crossroads where AI could either amplify human potential or deepen societal divides, depending on how governments balance innovation with accountability. To stay informed, businesses and individuals should monitor upcoming federal actions, such as requests for information, RFIs, and engage with evolving AI policies. Yeah. So we have to stay engaged. We have to say, hey, this is what we want, or this is what we don't want, right? Period. This is what we want. This is what we don't want. We need to really stay on top of these politicians, because they're not really going to care the way they're supposed to care. That's just my opinion. But we need to stay fully awake and engaged. And with that, we're going to go to our next topic. Now, this was a topic that I covered last week about, it was about Israel. It's really sad. It's really, 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 really sad what's going on. But I need to show you guys this video in particular. Now, this video was done by the real Stu Peters, and he's showing some members of Congress that are actually backed by AIPAC. And if anybody knows what AIPAC is, that is an Israeli political action committee, pretty much. And they support a lot of our congressmen, which actually kind of determines some of the laws that we see. But I also want to bring up how, in my opinion, and I don't know this from these congressmen because it's hard to get them to even answer a question, where do they stand on how pedophilia is run rampant in Israel and how people are hiding in Israel who are pedophiles? Just a question.
My name's Frankie Stocks. I'm a reporter with the Stu Peters Network. I would just love to ask you a quick question. I'm trying to ask every representative.
Oops, sorry guys. Let me go that back. Let me see if I can add that to the stage again. There we go.
My name's Frankie Stocks. I'm a reporter with the Stu Peters Network. I would just love to ask you a quick question. I'm trying to ask every representative I can.
Go for it, Frankie.
That is, do you care more about the American people or Israel as a member of Congress?
I don't think they're mutually exclusive, Frankie.
Can you elaborate?
They're our best ally.
Are they? Who do you care about more, the United States or Israel? United States or Israel, sir? No answer? Should we put you down for Israel? Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? It's an easy one. American people or Israel? You don't got to fake a phone call. American people or Israel? Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? The American people or Israel, sir? Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? No answer?
I think that Israel is one of our strongest allies in a part of the world where people are trying to harm us, and I think they need our support.
So should the U.S. continue funding Israel? Despite their links to the 9/11 or their attack on the USS Liberty? Who do you care about more, the United States or Israel?
You know what? That's kind of an odd question to ask.
Well, it's a question the American people have been asking a lot because they're starting to wake up to how much AIPAC money is flowing into the coffers of Congress.
Well, if you watch what I've done over the years since I've been here, the question about do we have some strong support for Israel, I think
it would be hard to find somebody who's more positive about it than I have. So I'm amazed sometimes at where the American people are, how they think. It's like, this is so against everything I've heard. The people who raised me are accepted. So.
Well, we have American citizens who are about to freeze to death in western North Carolina, and we're sending millions to Israel. So.
No, that's not a comparison.
Well, it is a comparison because the money's going out. It's all coming from the same people. It's coming from the taxpayers, sir. Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? American people or Israel, sir? Sir, they're equal.
And I want to point something out as we're going through all of this. A lot of these people are Republicans. I don't know if you're catching that, but most of these senators, are representatives. They're Republican.
Are you serving Israel or are you serving America?
I stand with Israel.
Okay, so can you answer the original question? Who do you care about more, U.S. or Israel?
There's no variance. It's like you're asking, do you love your wife more than your daughter?
Well,
and you said it's a simple question.
It is.
Do you love your wife more than your daughter?
I love the United States more than I love Israel. It's a very simple question.
Great love, and you as a human being, you express that love, and you have core principles that drive you to your love for your wife and your love for your daughter. It's two different loves, but neither of them is greater than the other. You understand?
Who's the priority when you're casting a vote in Congress, America or Israel?
Priority is love, son.
Well, it's a very simple question. You're not answering it, Representative. Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? American people or Israel, sir? Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel?
Ooh.
No answer?
Now that was interesting, that lady called Harry, because, she does come out and she's very strong on certain issues and different things. Yeah, she's paid by AIPAC too. Just saying.
Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? American people or Israel, sir? Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel?
This is a Democrat. Okay.
No answer? Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? Well, who do you care about more?
Oh, well, I heard
American
Israel.
people or Israel, sir? Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? American people or Israel, sir? Is it so hard to say you care about the American people who you're here to serve? The American people believe that Israel holds disproportionate influence over our own government thanks to organizations like AIPAC, who are pumping millions of dollars into American politics, promoting Israel First policy. So,
if you want to share this information, you're doing a great job.
It's not misinformation. We have the campaign finance report, sir. It's not misinformation.
He said misinformation. Wow. I guess that works for everybody, right? And Black Empower says he compared family members with Israel as an answer. What? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. A whole soliloquy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Do you care more about the American people or about Israel?
Where are you from?
The Stu Peters Network. The Stu Peters Show just released a film called Occupied on this very subject, which I highly recommend to look up.
I'll do that.
But can you answer the question, sir? Do you care more about the American people or about Israel?
I'm an American. I care more about the American people.
You care more about the American people?
Not all people.
Right, but should Americans take priority over Israel? We know AIPAC's pumping hundreds of thousands of dollars into congressional candidates. They're obviously getting some sway there. Should AIPAC register as a foreign agent?
That's a good question. Don't they already?
No. Yes, sir.
Are you one of those Are you recording?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Stu Peters Network, Frankie Stocks. We're asking the questions that the American people want answered by their representatives.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Make an appointment. Thank you.
Congressman. Quick second. I'm Frankie Stocks with the Stu Peters Network, trying to ask all members I can this question. Very simple. Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel?
American people.
You are the first to have given me that answer, sir. Thank you. Yep.
American people. Number one, man. Always.
But as you can see, all those senators, which it's an easy question. You're a senator. You're in Congress with the House, or you're a senator. This is an easy question. American people, who put you in office? That's a real good question. Who put you in office then? Because some people just didn't even answer the question at all, or some people just muddle through because they know where their loyalty lies. That's the thing. This is about loyalty. Okay, this is about who put you in office. And this is why I keep saying none of them need to return to office. They all need to be ousted. Every single one of them, top down, bottom up, period. Do not reelect these people. They do not work for us. They work for themselves and special interest groups. And I'm going to call AIPAC a special interest group because obviously it's not registered as a foreign agent to even lobby. How are they lobbying? Because it's allowed. It's disgusting. And they all have taken the money and they all know what's going on and it's criminal. But they'll say, well, we're just, we're just politicians. It's that part that is very infuriating for a lot of us, I'm sure. Now, on the back end of this, and this is why I wanted to play that video first, so you could at least see these representatives where they stood, right? We know a lot of them don't stand with America. They do not care about the American public. They care about their pocketbooks. They care about their campaigning. They care about the money. So we know who their God is, right? And that whole thing about, your wife and your daughter and all that comparison that even Black Empower stood over like, what? What are we talking about? I know what you're trying to say. I know how you're trying to craft this, but it's trash. It truly is. It's fallen flat. So the U.S. denies intervening in a case of an Israeli official accused of sex crimes in Nevada. Okay, full mass. This person, and this was August 19th of this year. So the U.S. Department said on Monday that the American government played no role in the release of an Israeli official charged with soliciting sex electronically from a minor. So if the U.S. played no role in it, this person was caught basically trying to solicit a minor, was arrested, but then released. They did not get this person's passport, so they couldn't leave the country. And this person ran right back to Israel. They ran back to Israel. Yeah. Now, I covered this on my show last week because I needed people to know, like, where are all these pedophiles coming from? Well, they hide in Israel. Those are just facts. It's not alleged. It's facts. It's what they're doing over there. So, Tan Artyom Alexandrovich was one of 8 people charged last week. One of 8. There were 8 people doing this, following an undercover operation targeting child sex predators. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police said in a statement issued last week. So Alexandrovich faces a felony of luring or attempting to lure a child or mentally ill person to commit a sex act with use of computer technology, according to Nevada State Court records reviewed by Reuters. In the Israeli media last Thursday said Alexandrovich, who they described as a senior department. Oops, sorry. Lost my place. He's described as a senior department head in Israel's National Cyber Directorate, was released by U.S. authorities. So not only is this person from Israel, he's in the government. He's in the government, y'all. It's crazy. So Black in Power says, weren't the Republicans scrutinizing a Guatemalan Democrat representative for saying she was a proud Guatemalan before being American? This is showing hypocrisy. Oh, big time. Big time. They don't have a leg to stand on. I don't even think they have knees left. Like, what are we doing? We know where your loyalties lie now. And I'm so glad that Stu Peters, journalist, was able to capture these people on film and what they were saying, and then they showed how much money they took from AIPAC. Because you can't deny that. That's even public record. If we go to Open Secrets, that money's going to be there showing where your loyalties lie. And only one Republican said, America first, obviously, and didn't take the money. Yeah, there's that part. So the Dictatorate confirmed the arrest and said the employee has gone on leave until the findings are clarified. After questioning, Alexandrovich returned to Israel and was placed on leave from the Directorate. Yeah. He's worked his role as a cyber Dictatorate, is involved in establishing the Cyberdome program, a government initiative to protect the civilian sphere from cyber attacks. Yeah. Yeah, and these are the other people that were included in that arrest. But yeah, he ran right back to Israel. That's so I wanted to look a little bit further, like, what are we doing? What's going on, right? Ask Rock a question. I said, I think I found this though, because I was like searching things and they pulled up. Oh, Tatas, thank you so much for reposting the stream. They found a question and it says, where in the Talmud it advocates sex with 3-year-olds? Okay. Now, if you've been following me, if you've watched some videos I've played and articles I've pulled up, they are okay with pedophilia within the Jewish community. It's what they're doing. It's what they're doing. So the claim that the Talmud advocates or permits sex with 3-year-olds often stems from misrepresentations or deliberate distortions of specific passages, typically taken out of context. These accusations frequently cite tractates such as Ketubot 11b, Sanhedrin 54b, or Nida 44b, but a careful examination of these texts reveals that they do not endorse or encourage such behavior. Instead, they address legal or technical matters within the framework of ancient Jewish law, often in hypothetical or post facto scenarios, not as moral prescriptions. And before I go on, I just want people to know that my third great grandmother on my father's side is Jewish. So before you start acting crazy, you don't have a right to speak on this. I have every right to speak on this. Because see, I'm not Jewish by religion. Right? Blood. And this is a disgrace that there are people within the Jewish community practicing pedophilia and trying to justify it in a religious context. That's disgusting. What is wrong with you? Oh, yeah, I'm calling it all out on the table. What is wrong with you? There is something wrong with you. And Unc, thank you for reposting the stream. And Bobby, thank you for reposting the stream as well. So, for example, in Kabbat 11b, the Talmud discusses the legal status of a young girl's virginity in relation to her dowry. It states that if a girl under 3 years old is subjected to intercourse, her physical virginity is considered intact because her hymen would heal, thus preserving her legal status as a virgin for dowry purposes. This is not an endorsement of the act, but a ruling on its legal consequences after it has occurred. The text explicitly frames this as a discussion of status, not permission, and does not suggest that such acts are acceptable. In fact, Jewish law, as codified later in works like Maimonides, Mishnah, Torah, Hilkot Ishut 1:4, and Shulchan Aruch, even has Ezra 26:1, strictly forbids sexual activity outside of marriage, and child abuse would fall under this prohibition. Similarly, Sanhedrin 54b addresses the legal definition of intercourse in the context of prohibited acts such as homosexuality or bestiality, and establishes age thresholds. 9 for boys, 3 for girls. Below which an act is not considered intercourse is halaic legal sense. This determines liability or consequences for the adult perpetrator, not permission for the act itself. Talmud assumes such acts are wrong and punishable. It is merely defining their legal categorization. Right? Yeah. It's just kind of laying it out, as they say. And AB 2000, this is crazy. It is. It's very crazy. But see, this is what, and it's unfortunate, this is what pedophiles do. And see, what we don't realize is a lot of people that are in positions of authority, they are, unfortunately, either psychopaths or sociopaths. And a lot of them are pedophiles. A lot of them. A lot of what we see around us is pedophilic. And it's like, I'm not subscribing to this. Any of it. I don't care who you are. Really? No. And we all need to denounce it. Period. And guess what? It's going to feel real uncomfortable. I would rather much be uncomfortable than lulled away in sin. Period. Period. Now, Nida 44b mentions that a girl age 3 and 1 day can be betrothed through intercourse with her father's consent, reflecting an ancient practice of child betrothal. However, this is a technical discussion about the validity of betrothal, not a recommendation or approval of consummation of that age. Elsewhere in the Talmud, Kedesin 41a explicitly discourages marrying off a minor daughter until she is old enough to consent, stating it is prohibited for a man to betroth his daughter when she is a minor until she grows up and says, I want to marry so-and-so, right? This reflects a clear preference for delaying marriage until maturity. But as you can see how it's read, how people would misconstrue it if they're pedophiles. Absolutely. They would do it in their favor and they don't care. Like I said, I played the videos where, that rabbi was like, it's just like poking somebody in the eye. The hymen will grow back and all this. I'm like, you're disgusting. And you're a rabbi? Like you're in a position to give instructions to people? Like you need to be in somebody's prison somewhere, way away. Okay? Till you perish. Like you don't get to come outside no more. You need to be in the uncle's room with the door shut. We'll make sure you get some food and we'll check on you. But you need to not be within the general public anymore because that's disgusting. So historically, child betrothal was a reality in many ancient cultures, including Jewish ones, often for protection or economic reasons. But the Talmudic rabbis sought to regulate and limit it, not promote it. Passages like Nida 13b condemn men who delay the Messiah by playing with little girls, interpreted as marrying or engaging with minors too young to bear children, further indicating disapproval of such exploitation. So I know that within the Jewish community, there are people that are against this, but some of them don't necessarily have a microphone. In summary, the Talmud does not advocate sex with 3-year-olds. The cited passages deal with legal technicalities such as virginity, betrothal, validity, or liability, rather than moral endorsements. Normative Jewish law and ethics, both the Talmud and later authorities, consistently prohibit sexual abuse and emphasize constant consent and protection, contradicting claims of advocacy. These misrepresentations often arise from taking complex legal discussions out of their cultural, historical, and textual content. At the end of the day, I mean, some of the stuff is just it's gross. Like, ugh, what are we doing? I had to get the icky out of the way because, it is what it is, right? And we need to know where these people are. And like I said, my grandmother is of Jewish descent, which means I've got Jewish blood in me. So that's why, I always try to warn people, be careful, don't come for me. And I'm a paralegal. I will find you. Don't try to cancel me. Don't try to say I'm being, what is that weird word, xenophobic or anti-Semitic, all the stupid stuff. It's stupid because I do have Jewish blood in me. I do not practice Judaism. Don't practice that. I practice Christianity. Okay? Again, come for me. Try me. And it's not going to be a great session. Let's just say that. Because I am going to fight you with everything in me. Because we need to stop labeling people and stop trying to deplatform people. Because when I see people come after other people in certain ways like that, I'm like, you're just trying to shut them up because you know you're wrong. Yeah, I'm going to say that again. You're trying to shut people up because you know you're wrong. You know you're in the wrong. But you don't want to debate. Just saying, you don't. And there are some things going on in the Jewish community, as with all communities. This pedophilia has got to stop. It's disgusting. I don't care where it is. Y'all are developing a culture and a segment of society where you're trying to get us to be on board with this. We're not on board with this. I'm not on board with it. I don't know anybody else out there. Nobody's on board with this. And we need to protect our children in any and all ways. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into a discussion about something I found, again, browsing the internet, y'all. But it was something that I found really cool, finding out about people that you may not necessarily know about in history. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll get into it. We'll see you on the other side.
We've unified our end-to-end encrypted services to make them easier to use together, because privacy should be the default for everyone. With the new Proton ecosystem, you can add events to Proton Calendar automatically when you accept an invitation. Easily share large files with a secure Proton Drive link. Send secure Proton Drive links privately with Proton Mail.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. And we have a comment from Spud McKinsey joining us on YouTube. Says definition of sexuality changed October 3rd through the 6th, 2020, to accommodate grooming of children by the LGBTQ community, whereas before sexuality meant the capacity for sexual feelings now means attraction. It is a slippery slope. And just that, even in that word attraction, I don't know if people have heard the term MAPS, which is minor attracted persons. And now, because people have caught on to that terminology, and it's like, okay, no, we're denouncing that. They're trying another terminology, and I'm not sure what that new term is, but they keep trying to interweave themselves. As Spud was saying, it now means attractions. I'm just attracted to this person. No. If a 40-year-old is attracted to a 5-year-old, that is disgusting. You need to be put in prison. Period. If we find you, you need to go to jail. And that's it. And if we do send you to jail, more than likely, you probably won't come out because, we find a lot of those people, they don't come out. Or they get beat up a lot. Yeah. Because nobody likes them. Not even the people in jail. The criminals don't like them. That's interesting because they're criminals. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And with that, we're going to get into somebody. I don't know if you guys have seen this video going around about a man called Tunis Campbell, formerly Tunis G. Campbell Sr. So I'm going to play the video first, and then I did a little bit of research about him in ChatGPT just to bring up some more information about him. But let's get into it. He is going to be for the audience, the highlight for Mighty Men Thursday. It's open mic again. Floor still open to anybody who would like to come on the stage. But yeah, let's check out this video.
Campbell in every American history book. Who? Is it because he proved black people didn't just survive without white control? Okay. They thrived? Campbell was born free in 1812, but he wasn't satisfied with freedom on paper. After the Civil War, he bought land in Georgia and built a black-led society from scratch, complete with schools, courts, land ownership, self-defense forces, and zero white oversight. He banned white officials from interfering, appointed black judges, organized militias. And when the system couldn't beat him legally, they poisoned him, threw him in prison, and tried to erase him. Wow. But here's the uncomfortable truth. As usual. Campbell didn't beg for equality. He built independence. He didn't just challenge white power. He replaced it. So ask yourself, why was his name buried while others got monuments? If this is the first time you're hearing about Tunis Campbell, drop "Fierce Leader" in the comments. Follow Roots Uncovered and share this if you're ready to reclaim the black leaders they feared the most.
Now, you guys know yesterday I went in. I went in and we were talking about the beauty industry and just how dysfunctional it is, right? And how we use the products, but we don't own the majority of the stores that even sell the products, right? And we're not manufacturing the product that we use. It's kind of crazy. So we're turning the tide on that. So that's another issue. I'll call it an issue that we are working on as Black Americans, right? We just want to be free. We just want to be treated fairly. That's it. And I know a lot of people are like, you're being a victim. You are treated fairly. No, we're not. Shut up. We're not. There's always a triple standard when it comes to us. There is. It is what it is. Now, can society change that? Absolutely. But we can't change it without having a real conversation about it. That's just silly. Okay? You got to have a real conversation. You got to have the hard talk, as I like to say it. Then we can move forward. But you're not going to sit in front of my face and be all flowery and smiley when you know there's dirt that we need to talk about. Can't do that. You can't even do that in a real relationship. It won't last. Because you'll go through these happy moments and then you'll have these pits and valleys and you don't know how to get out of them because you didn't have the hard conversation first. So let's do that. But now let's get back to Mr. Campbell. And I found this fascinating when I found him, you guys. So who is he? He was born in April 1st, 1812 in Middlebrook, New Jersey to free Black parents, one of 10 children. He was educated in an all-white episcopal, episcopal, ooh, that word, boarding school in Babylon, New York, where he trained for missionary service. He rejected colonization efforts to send Black people to Liberia, instead committed to freeing every slave on American soil, founding an anti-colonization society in 1832. So he's done this. Did you guys know about him? I didn't know. No, I'm just saying we're learning this together. So he worked as a hotel steward in New York and Boston, authoring the 1848 guide Hotel Keepers, Head Waiters, and Housekeepers Guide, one of the first hospitality books by an African American. And I'm going to call him a Black American because he's Black American. But yeah, wow. Wow. So cool. He was born free. I like that part. He should be born free, right? Under the Constitution, but we gotta state it. It's that stuff. Those are hard talks I'm talking about. So Civil War and the Freedmen's Bureau. So in 1863, he was appointed by Secretary of War Edwin Stanton to the Sea Islands off Georgia to assist with freed people resettlement under the Freedmen's Bureau, right? Oversaw land claims and settlement on several islands. Sapelo, Oswaba, St. Catharines, Colonels, and Delaware. Okay, so these are all of the islands that he helped to oversee. So after former Confederates reclaimed the land in 1866, he purchased 1,250 acres in McIntosh County, establishing a landowner association for Black freedmen. Wow. So former Confederates reclaimed the land that was given to freed people. And see, it's this kind of stuff that we have to learn and find out, right? So political leadership and Reconstruction efforts. He became the vice president of the Georgia Republican Party, served as justice of the peace delegate to the 1867 and 68 state constitutional convention, and was elected Georgia state senator, representing McIntosh, Liberty, and Tattenall counties. Championed civil rights, advocated for equal education, integrated juries, abolition of debtor imprisonment, homestead protections, fair voting, and access to public facilities. He organized a 300-person Black militia in McIntosh County to protect freed people from Ku Klux Klan violence, despite attempts on his life, home burnings, poisoning, and more. He held firm. So he didn't back down. And I know a lot of us are like, well, we're doing what he's doing. Yeah. But it's been a perpetual fight for us. There's no time, and I don't know if you guys feel this way. It's almost like we're in constant fight or flight. And I just would like to be able to just have a good win where we could just rest in. And to me, this is a good win to rest in. To know that there was somebody in the past fighting and how we can fight right now in a good way, right? So the backlash and injustice. In 1868, Campbell was among the original 33 Black Georgia legislators expelled by white lawmakers claiming Blacks couldn't hold office. He returned to office in 1871, but lost re-election in 1872 amid fraud and intimidation. Now, that's very interesting to me because everybody's always talking about free and fair elections, this and that. And even then, there was fraud. So after Reconstruction ended, and you would think, why? How did Reconstruction end? Like, how do you just end peace? That's what it was. It was peace. But it ended. He was falsely charged with malfeasance in 1875, sentenced to hard labor in a convict labor camp in 18 76 and chained. Upon his release, he penned Sufferings of the Reverend T.G. Campbell and his family in Georgia, 1877, documenting his ordeal. Relocated to Boston and passed away on December 4th, 1891. Legacy and recognition: one of the most influential African American politicians in the 19th century Georgia and a model of Reconstruction leadership. In June 2024, that was last year, a historical marker was unveiled in Darien, Georgia, in Venice Square, honoring his life and achievements, initiated by the Georgia Historical Society. Thank you, Georgia Historical Society. His contributions to building Black communities, political power, and protecting civil rights on Georgia's coast remain a foundation for future generations. It's amazing. You guys, I want to, then it almost brings me to tears because it took so long to recognize him. But I'm glad he's been recognized. But what's so sad is, a lot of this happened after a time in our country. Reconstruction was supposed to just be peace, and a time for our country to rebuild from the harsh dealings that it had already been through, right? Because slavery was like abolished. We're moving forward. We're doing great. And then it just ended Reconstruction. Like, how do you end it? Well, you pardon the Confederate Army. That's how it ended. Your hatred ended peace. I mean, it's just that simple. It's just really that simple. So I saw this picture of the housekeeper's guide, and I wanted to know a little bit more about it. So I said, tell me more about it. And so he authored what was titled Hotel Keepers, Head Waiters, and Housekeepers Guide, right? Also known as the Tunis Gullick Campbell, and published in Boston in 1848 by Coolidge and Wiley, right? This work bears the standard copyright notice and gives the notice. It spans approximately 192 pages, and it was printed in Boston in the Library of Congress. So for contents and historical significance, the guide is considered one of the earliest hospitality-related books authored by an African American, Black American. It combines culinary recipes with practical advice on hotel and household management, targeted both to employers and employees in the hospitality industry. Some of the insights, service work, and training. The guide reflects Campbell's own experience as principal waiter at Howard's Hotel in New York City from 1842 to 1845. It offers strategies on managing teams. Campbell likened head waiters to military officers, emphasizing how servers must be drilled carefully to avoid disorder among staff in the face of impatient guests. He was truly a leader. Reputation and legacy. Not only is this guide among the second major Black authored culinary works in America, but it also demonstrates early professional development for Black Americans in service roles, a field where training and formal guidance are scarce. Wow. And why it matters: trailblazing authorship, right? Of course. Practical and organizational wisdom, and a broader cultural context. So I was just really, it warmed my heart, as you say, to come across the video and to look more into who he was. But it was just so sad how he was hated for wanting peace. Why would you expel people from Congress when all men are created equal? See, it's those hard conversations that we just really need to have, because you got to understand generationally, and this is for everybody. Generationally, we do have a war within our own United States, and it's been racial for a long time. You don't like people based on their skin color when you really don't know who they are. Okay, so you're prejudging, right? Whereas a lot of that came from. But to literally oust people based on their skin color, that's the racism. So if you want to know how racism works, that could be used as an example, because I've been talking about racism, and people, they throw out a word and they want to call people racist. It's like, okay, so for the Georgia legislatures that ousted these 33, that's an act of racism. They were ousted based on the color of their skin, not because they did anything wrong, because they were already in office. The original 33. And you ousted them. Why? Because you just claimed that blacks couldn't hold office. Why? They're educated enough to get there. They could read, they could write, they could do everything. But you ousted them. Now, it didn't go into the community that he had founded, right? As in the video that I prefaced this segment with. But that's something that we know about him, which is great, right? And I may do a little bit more research and find out a little bit more about that. But it's just so sad that there is so much hatred. And a lot of people say, what do you mean there is? Presently, there is. I mean, we're back at that, you know how things go in hills and valleys. We're still in those hills and valleys because we don't want to have the real conversation that, yeah, racism is a problem in our country, and we don't want to say that it is. You got to admit when you have a problem and it's out of control. And you need to address it. Okay. Now, with that, we're going to transition a little bit because that brought up something that I was like, I want to know a little bit more about this because, even though ethnically I am a Negro American, that's my ethnicity, that word translates also to black. So people want to use that in a racial context, right? But we should not operate in race. We shouldn't be. We really shouldn't be operating in race, but we do. And I think that's the biggest part of the problem in our country, because we want to use race as a caste system, right? So there's winners and losers, and we can automatically make those winners and losers. And then we also want to use it in treatment of how individuals are treated, right? Wherever they are. And a lot of people will say, well, that's not happening. That's not happening. It does happen. And it does happen to certain people. It may not be widespread, but it still is happening. And it's happening in the places that matter. Okay. So I said, can you tell me why loans are disproportionately blocked to Black American business owners? And can you tell me if there have been any lawsuits, right? And it says why Black business owners get denied or shortchanged more often. So documented higher denial rates and smaller approvals. The Federal Reserve's Small Business Credit Survey, has year after year found that Black-owned firms are more likely to be denied and less likely to receive the full amount requested, even when compare similar small firms. Differential treatment in the process. A 2024, now this is 2024, just last year, we're in 2025. CFPB mystery shopper pilot found Black entrepreneurs received less encouragement to apply and were steered toward worse products more often than comparable white entrepreneurs. Legacy redlining and branch access. The DOJ redlining cases show some lenders avoided or underserved majority Black neighborhoods. Fewer loan officers, branches, and little outreach. limiting relationships and credit pipelines for Black owners. Smaller average loan sizes, profitability bias. Banks often deprioritize small dollar loans that may first time Black founders seek. Research and SBA data note growth in access when programs emphasize small loans. Wealth and collateral gaps. Because of historic wealth disparities, Black owners on average bring less collateral and personal liquidity, which tightens underwriting outcomes even before any bias. And see Brookings' 2025 review of barriers across the startup growth pipeline. Opaque data until now. So small business lending lacked public demographic data, unlike mortgages. So Section 1070 of Dodd-Frank is designed to fix that by requiring lenders to report application data by race, gender, etc. But rollout has been litigated and delayed. Have there been lawsuits? Yes. Both government enforcement and private suits. Government enforcement, redlining, fair lending. So Ameris Bank in 2023, DOJ proposed consent order over alleged redlining bank to fund subsidies and outreach. This is just in 2023. The Washington Trust in 2023, ESSA Bank 2023 to 2025, American Bank of Oklahoma 2023, DOJ settlements over redlining allegations, loan subsidy funds, new branch offices, outreach. A judge recently refused to release ESSA from its settlement. Fairway Independent Mortgage 2024. The DOJ CFBP settlement over alleged redlining in Birmingham civil penalty and loan subsidiaries mortgage, but illustrates ongoing federal actions against race-based lending discrimination that affects business owners' communities too. So data transparency rule. Industry challenges versus CFBP 1070 rule 2023 to 25. Courts have seesawed after the Supreme Court upheld CFBP funding. A Texas judge rejected an industry challenge in August 26, 2024. Compliance timing is still being adjusted amid appeals. And as of September 3rd, 2025, the CFBP told the Fifth Circuit it plans a new rulemaking. 2025, suit by civil rights and business groups, Rise, Economy, and others sued the administration to force implementation of 1070, arguing the data are needed to identify discrimination against women and minority-owned small businesses. Now, when they say this, women, okay, usually those women are not Black women. Usually those minorities are not Negroes. They are not American Negroes. And the women in the minority, they're fighting for other people. That still doesn't fight for us. Doesn't help us. In my opinion, a loan should not be based on your race nor your biology. Now, I know those things have been put in place because they say, hey, these things level the playing field. No, they don't. No, they don't. They actually disseminate the playing field because you already either start the bar for or against you, depending on where you fall in this women and minority group. If you fall on the favorable side of the minority group, you're going to get the benefits. But if you don't, you won't. They've set everybody up for failure based on race and biology. Take them off the application. Take them off the application. And if banks are still discriminating because they'll be like, well, this person's name looks female, or it looks this way, or it looks that way, then that just comes back down to your practice. You're not even looking at the business plan. You're not looking at the rate of return. You're basing your decision on in an unethical way. That I'll just say it like that. It's unethical what they're doing. So a COVID small error suits PPP. Everybody's holding those PPP loans. So a civil rights group sued SBA over PPP eligibility rules that excluded many with old criminal records, disproportionately affecting Black owners. SBA loosened rules after litigation. Separate class actions alleged banks prioritized existing, often non-minority clients. Some cases closed or didn't advance as classes. You're trying to hide that stuff. Related policy shifts impacting support. 2024 to 25 court decision ordered the Minority Business Development Agency to serve all races equally, which they never will. Curbing race-targeted assistance designed to offset historic barriers. Context. Many advocates say make targeted lending fixes harder. Look, we got to get rid of it. We have to get rid of race and male and female when it comes to business. Because again, they were trying to level the playing field, right? By saying, hey, let's help those that are being targeted, basically, based on their race to advance. But then you want to say, instead of a Negro American or Black American, you want to put it minority. Stop it. Stop that. And you want to say women. Which women are we talking about? All women? And you'll say, well, Black women have been successful. A lot of Black women have been successful on the grind, piecing it together. And I guarantee you, the ones that got a lot of money, they usually had somebody who was their partner who was a white man. Guarantee. Guarantee. And that's the sad part, because it shouldn't be that way. If we're going to say, base it on the merits, get rid of it all. Get rid of all of it. Don't give anybody a hand up or a hand down. Either your business plan is good or it's bad, period. And that's how you should be given the loan for whatever business you're trying to start. Stop basing it on race. Stop basing it on biology. And when I say biology, I'm saying male and female. And I'm using that term because we do have people who maybe, I don't know, under the age of 18. I don't want to use certain terminologies, and their parents, well, mommy, what's that mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to keep it definitely rated grandma. So there are some things that we need to remove from the loan decision-making process. Now, if anybody goes, well, we need that information. No, you don't need that information. You're using that information against people. You're not using it to help people. Why in the world do you need to know what race I am? If it should matter if I'm a good business owner or not. You don't need to know if I'm a woman or not to know if I'm going to be a good business owner, period. And it shouldn't benefit me, but it shouldn't work against me either. Either way, if my business plan is good, if my business plan is solid, then I should be able to get the money or the loan based on that. And definitely, if I have a good credit score, I should be able to get a good interest rate based on that, period. There are just some things in our society that needs to be removed. But see, I don't hear the Small Business Administration talking about making those changes, because you're not. Because see, here's the thing. All of this racial conflict, it serves you. Because what else you going to run on? Huh? How you going to pull votes? If you cannot infuriate people by saying you are disproportionately marginalized, or whatever the big words, buzzwords they want to use. They have to use something to infuriate people so they will get up off the couch and vote. But people should just get up off the couch and vote because they care about their country, because they care about their city, because they want to make sure that they are living live in society with equality, right? Period. Like, that's what it should be. And again, we can get there, but we have to have those hard conversations first. Just saying. We really, really do. But I didn't get any open mic requests. That's fine. Maybe next time, or I might have a guest. We'll see. But thank you so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News for Mighty Men Thursday. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.